You're listening to the Visionary Lifestyle Podcast, the show that's dedicated to raising consciousness and empowering you to activate your highest potential. I'm your host, Magda Freedom Rod. Aloha Rainbow Warriors. I'm coming to you from Morocco today. I'm here soaking up the sun and the sea with a beautiful soul tribe, and I couldn't feel more blessed. How are you guys doing? Send me an email. Tell me what you're up to. You know, I always love connecting with you guys. Today's guest is Rob Weber, also known as DJ Raio. Rob is a self-described cultural creative. He's a music producer, a DJ, a musician, a father, a land steward, and is also a co-founder of the Bali Spirit Festival, which just celebrated its 10th year this year. Rob also curates all the music at the festival. And man, is he doing a fantastic job. We met up at the yoga barn in Bali after the festival to talk music, ecstatic dance, the power of kirtan, sound healing, culture, and the incredible magic of Bali. Make sure to check out the show notes for links to Rob's work. I hope you enjoy it. Namaste. Rob Weber, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So cool to connect with you here in Bali. We are sitting in the yoga barn right now in one of the little cubbies here in this beautiful oasis of yoga and magic and organically inspired food and consciousness. And it's a real gathering place for conscious tribe in Bali. So it's perfect to interview you here after the Bali Spirit Festival, after Nyepi, when we've all had now a day to decompress and exhale and be quiet and integrate the wonderful madness that was the Bali Spirit Festival.
Wonderful madness, I like that.
Yeah, and it was nonstop, and you're one of the co-producers, co-founders. I just want to give you my feedback that, you know, as somebody who goes to lots of festivals all over the place, it's definitely one of my top ones so far. The location, I mean, you can't beat Bali for location, and literally every block of time there was at least 5 things that I was dying to go to, and it's like, how am I gonna decide? And yoga and amazing music, and you're the guy behind the musical piece, from what I understand, right? You're booking the music.
I am.
Yeah.
So
you're the guy that's bringing the bhakti.
Yeah.
And more. Bhakti and beyond. Bhakti
and beyond. And we do have a little bit of everything. And over the years, I've also been the visionary behind, different aspects of it to develop the program. What you experienced here with sound healing and kirtan and conscious singer-songwriters and the bhakti nights and the big main stage stuff, which is a bit more for the mainstream, but it's our attempt to kind of, welcome everybody into the festival. Mm-hmm. That's 10 years of progress. Yeah. When we started out, we were literally kind of a stage in a rice field. Wow. Well, it was a manicured garden. It wasn't exactly a rice field, but we had a view. And it was just one stage, and it ran for, I think, 2 nights maybe the first time. And Tina Malia was here, Fana Fiala, like some really, really stellar musicians who happen to be personal friends were here, but it was very, very humble, and I think the audience was maybe 150 people.
Wow. And
so over the last 10 years, it's developed, at least the music side, both sides, but the music in particular has developed into something that's really a kind of full spectrum. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really appreciated how much of the bhakti vibration you had there, because it just made it really grounded it into this sacred space. Mm-hmm. And, from Jai Jagdish to just different people that I've never heard of, just singing beautiful mantras on different stages. And it just, I appreciated that sacred element. And I unfortunately, I don't feel like I experienced enough of it, because there was that problem of where am I going to go for the next, session, because there's so much to do all at once, and just doing your best as a participant and, as a media person to, want to cover, all of it and experience all of it. And I think, we're going to have to make it a month-long festival next time.
It was already 8 consecutive nights this year, which is amazing. But I love kirtan, I lead kirtan, and one of my goals for the future is that we have like a dedicated space for bhakti music in the daytime, and that the kirtans, that way, you know, there's an energy that generates when you have an intimacy and a physical intimacy between the musicians and the audience, or it's not really audience, it's just all the participants together,
right,
when it's ideal. This year some of it was on a stage, and that's not ideal. And I mean, it still is beautiful, it's beautiful energy going out, but in terms of generating that kind of like amazing devotional pressure that builds up and gets released through a proper kirtan, I think we need to have a dedicated space for it.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Nice.
that's one of my goals for next year. Each year there's only, you know, there's like the new initiative that can happen, and then there's 3 other ideas that you need to kind of leave on the side because it's so much to organize.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, there's a lot of people who come for the asana, you know, and maybe they're more in that space of like yoga, practicing yoga for health and wellness, right? But then they become exposed to the bhakti element, and something opens through that I think is just so vital and special and maybe unexpected for them even.
Yes, exactly, and that's part of the reason I really appreciate you bringing that, because this is, you know, a lot of what I talk about on the show is trying to educate people and myself in the process about the 8 limbs of yoga. And so yes, get the asana brings them, and then they get something, you know, give them what they want, or you know, sell them what they want, and then give them what they need. Like they come and then they get something more.
I like that.
Yeah, and the bhakti really does that then, and bhakti yoga, and you know, being often expressed in music, right? This is the yoga of devotion, right? Just for people to understand. So what is it about kirtan that calls you?
Kirtan, what is it about kirtan that calls me? It's what it does for everybody. Really, it's I think of kirtan, like for me, I can disconnect kirtan from the religions it's coming from. You know, there's both primarily kirtan that's revolving around the Hindu culture, and there's also the music of the Kundalini yogas, which is in Guru Mukhi, which is generally not singing to gods and deities, but it's more philosophy, life truths encapsulated in a very powerful language. But my experience of kirtan is if you give yourself to it, and if you simply do it, chant, this repetitive call and response, something happens. The heart opens, the mind becomes clear. You know, I don't want to use like a overly floral language, but I think we do touch God in this way together. And the bhakti movement came at a time in India when the priesthood was considered a bit corrupt, when you had to go and pay for rituals to be done for your house, or everything was kind of in the hands of priests who were essentially controlling access to God. It had become something that was commodified. So you had
monetizing.
Monetizing access to God. Okay, and the bhakti movement was a response to that, and what they said was, no, everybody has a personal connection to God, and we're going to bring it into the streets. And how do we get there? We get there through music, we get there through dance, we get there through singing together. And so it became this incredibly powerful music because it empowered people to have direct experience of their divine nature, right? And this is what's absolutely essential in the world today. Like, we talk about revolution, we talk about evolution, we talk about what's needed. What's actually needed is for everybody to have a personal revolution of consciousness within themselves. And kirtan is a vehicle for that. You know, there's no question that if you give yourself to a 90-minute or a 2-hour process of chanting names of the divine, and Sanskrit is a powerful language, Gurmukhi, it can happen in English as well, right? With that devotion, something is going to shift in your being, and your experience of love, your feeling of mental clarity and inspiration about what you can do with your life, how you want to direct yourself, what your relationships need, how you feel about existence, it's all going to improve and become more positive and become more radiant and more luminescent over time.
Right.
You know, and it's the simplest thing.
Said.
We all sing, we all dance. You know, it's our birthright to do these things. And if you look at traditional cultures around the world outside of India, Africa, for example, there's communal singing, there's communal dance, right? And I come from the United States. I was born in Wisconsin, and I come from a place where everything had been commodified, right? Culture had been something that was commodified and that was placed outside of us for entertainment purposes, essentially, right? Something we pay for, we consume movies, we buy CDs, we're listening to other people's music, but there was nothing in my upbringing that was so direct, aside from when I was dancing. And so to discover kirtan and to sort of like retake ownership not only of my divine nature and my ability to connect with the divine, but also of myself as a musician, and of musicianship as an essential aspect of humanity, not something that's reserved for the special talented few. And there are amazing musicians. I mean, I curate music, so I'm aware of this, obviously. But my core belief is every human being has a singing voice. It just needs to be found. And when it's found, the heart naturally opens and blossoms.
Yeah, you know, it's so beautifully said. And what you said reminds me a lot of something. Marianne Williamson is one of my teachers, and one of the things that she says often that always resonates as truth with me, and it's echoing what you just said, is that we think we have a lot of little problems, but we just have one big problem, and that's our sense of separation from source. So when we connect, when we learn how to connect, and I love this as, you know, bhakti and kirtan as a tool to help us make that connection to source energy. When we sort that one out, crown chakra essentially, right? When we get that one from the top, it all just filters down from there.
Absolutely.
So I love this, encouraging people to participate in kirtans to get to that place of connection with source energy.
Yep.
And so you perform and curate lots of different kinds of sacred sound, right? And another thing that you're doing here at the Yoga Barn is you're leading this ecstatic dance that I keep hearing about. Is it Friday nights and Sunday mornings?
There's a Friday night dance and a Sunday dance.
Yeah. That I've just been hearing from so many people how phenomenal it is. I can't believe I haven't made it to it yet, but I've been busy at the festival, but I really want to participate in that. What do you see happening there, and how is it different than kirtan?
Well, the ecstatic dance at the Yoga Barn, I've played in other places around the world, and it is really special here, and that's a testament to the community. Everybody is showing up, and they're 108% in from the get-go. They want to move.
Love it.
Really, and it's about 200 people in the large yoga shala here, and generally we play a selection of music ranging from gentle warm-up, kind of moving asana pieces, all the way up through different forms of house and some really fast music, and then some deep, slow, powerful music. Trap gets mixed in. It's a bit of everything, but essentially as a DJ, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to craft a journey that will allow people to jump in the river and surrender to the music and just become the dance. Get out of the mind, but in a way where there's no effort to get out of the mind. If I've done my job well, it means that people have just been taken, and the dance has taken them. And again, through movement, through body awareness, through community, there is that connection to something way, way beyond our small problems. And people experience ecstasy. Some people experience incredible liberation because they've never danced in broad daylight, or they've never danced when they weren't drinking alcohol. Or there's all these kind of conditionings we have that limit us from being fully expressed. And you come to dance on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock.
That's
everyone's going to see you. It's confronting for a lot of people. It's really, and then they look around, and within 15 minutes they're just in it. And some of the strongest responses I've gotten from people have been about oh my God, I was so nervous to do this because everybody would see me dance, but then I realized everybody is dancing. And I just became a part of it, and this was such a liberation. So I think liberation is a really key word. I think connection is a really key word to describe the experience people have. Simply appreciating new music, to be in a space where the focus is really on the music. Often music is a background in our lives, but at the dance, you are absolutely subsumed in it. And I've always been a dancer. I'd studied West African dance for years, and I drummed, and I love it. And so I got called at a certain point to start DJing. Literally the barn reached out to me and said, hey, you know, can you start leading this? We think you'd be good at it. And I jumped in with both feet, and yeah, just absolutely love it. There's so much love in the room. And it's a funny thing because the most powerful dances I have end in meditation. And the quality of stillness at the end of what is the most, like, you know, literally loud and cathartic experience for people, to arrive at this place of deep inner peace. We have 200 people sitting in silence together in a room in a prayerful way. Like, on a level, this is what I'm striving to help people to achieve.
Beautiful.
You know?
And for people who have never participated in ecstatic dance, let's help them understand a little bit more about how it's different than just going to a regular, whatever kind of dance place you might be dancing. I mean, in my experience, it's much more of a solo journey, right? You're not necessarily dancing with other people.
Not here, it's not.
Oh yeah?
No, not at all. There's some contact improv dancers who are like extremely engaged with each other, and there's a lot of kind of like interactive, fun, eyes wide open dancing and sharing going on. Certainly you can close your eyes and you can go on your journey, and that's actually what I used to do. And I'd kind of open my eyes once in a while, and someone would want to be engaging with me, and I'd be like, "What? Come on, I'm sweating my prayers, I'm in my space, you know, leave me alone," kind of thing. And then I had a shift in my being where just some piece of sadness came out of my heart, and in a very like strong healing ceremony. And the next time I came to dance, all I wanted to do was connect with people and to share that joy and to share that and to look them in the eyes and to really express and communicate through dance. So, you know, I think a lot of it is just a measure of where you're at and what you're looking for. If you're in the space to go within and to pray and to really work on the inner plane, that's available to you. But if you want to be in a state of celebration and sharing, that's also there. There was an aspect of your question I wanted to touch on. Oh, what differentiates it from a club is that we have a few agreements, and this is something we go over at the beginning of the dance with a welcome, and that is no talking on the dance floor. We're there to dance, we're there to communicate with our bodies and with our movement, and no filming, no photography, and obviously no alcohol. So everybody there is so present in the movement that it creates such a heightened field, and the difference between that and a club or just a casual, maybe I'll dance, maybe I'll sit on the side and have a conversation experience, it's just a much stronger field of energy. And I think the quality of the dance is really determined by how much everybody gives themselves to it with those agreements. You know? Just be the dance. And it has a start and it has a finish, and it's a journey. It's going to be 90 minutes in the Yoga Barn's case. It could be 2 hours, it could be 3 hours. But you know, you're there for the journey and you give yourself to it, and when it's over, you can go back and have your conversations and cuddle puddles and all the hugs that last forever. Yeah.
Fantastic. I hope I get a chance to experience it. We'll see how my schedule goes.
There's some great DJs this weekend.
This weekend?
Yeah, this weekend, Friday and Sunday it's on, and wonderful.
So you're not DJing it?
I will be away at another festival performing this weekend.
But normally you do. Usually you're
Normally I'd be on every weekend.
I see. Okay, so you have guest people this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bali Spirit Festival, going back to that, you've been involved in that since the beginning, right? Yeah. And that's been 10 years. This is the 10-year anniversary right now.
This was the 10-year anniversary.
And that's interesting that it happened that quickly for you, because I love this line that I read somewhere about you, that you landed in Bali with a backpack 11 years ago and never left.
Yeah.
How'd that happen? What happened?
Well,
so, and a year later then you're starting Bali Spirit Festival. So
literally, my son's mother and I were in a travel mode, and she's half Balinese, and she had expiring frequent flyer points. And she said, I'm taking you to Bali, and we're going for like a month and a half before we come back to the States and settle down. And we had kind of a vague idea of what that would look like, but no fixed plans. And at the time, neither of us had a lease, neither of us had a vehicle. We didn't really have anything tying us to the US, because we had already been sort of in a travel mode that we'd prepared for. And so, yeah, we came to Bali, and I don't think there was ever a conversation after we arrived about like, should we stay or not. It was just more like, should we walk through this wide open door or the other wide open door? Because the island, it just loved us up, and it was a time when things were really chill and really quiet in Ubud, and that's actually what we were wanting. Now people come to Ubud and it's like a neighborhood of Manhattan or something. You know, it's got everything.
It's pretty hopping.
Everything a city offers, from amazing food to great music to wonderful community. Back then it was just quiet, and like a lot of people who've come, that's what we were looking for. So we stayed, and at a certain point you can't go back because past 7 months of pregnancy you're not allowed to fly, right? So my son was born here, and I think it was a year and a half before we made the first trip back to see family. And everything was just, you know, really just about accepting opportunities. There was never a real striving to do anything. Yeah.
Wow. So the island just welcomed you with open arms. Yeah. I feel that here. You can't help but feel it. I feel like Bali's almost like a heart chakra because it's so green and so lush, and it just feels like it's just teeming with prana. Right, because everything is just so green, and there's so much oxygen, you know, from the trees and all this nature and this lush jungle that we're in. I can see like falling into the arms of Bali. Like I'm very tempted. Like, maybe I'll never leave. I don't know. I just love that story, and I hear that it, you know, happens pretty commonly.
Yeah,
right?
and it's the Balinese culture as well. You talk about bhakti, like the Balinese live so devotionally. And they live their lives in a constant cycle of communal ritual, communal offering. You know, every morning if you go out, you see them putting offerings down on the street outside their homes.
I'm so in love with this. I've been Instagramming pictures of the offerings, and they're just everywhere you turn. There's another woman with another full basket putting them on the scooters and by the cash register in the grocery store, and they're everywhere.
And in that, there's like a constant acknowledgement of God. There's a constant acknowledgement of the forces of nature, the elements, all of these things. And you know, people come to Bali and they're like, I don't know why, but I just feel so amazing here. And I really believe that because the Balinese culture is constantly, consciously cultivating the kind of unseen realm here, the subtle energy of the place. There's always ritual going on, huge ceremonies are going on, and the priests are praying, people are all praying, and it creates this field that you just have to experience in order to understand or taste a little bit. And some people experience it as, wow, I feel more creative here. Some people feel like they feel, you know, spiritual for the first time. Some people, you know, just feel it as like more energy, and they go off and party and do whatever they're doing down south. But the fact that there's this conscious cultivation of kind of the subtle fields is, to me, is incredibly tangible. You know?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I mean, I'm definitely impressed with the culture and the depth of the sacredness for everything. And you know, that I feel super blessed I got to be here for Nyepi, this holiday that we just had. Can you explain what that is, just briefly?
One thing I want to say about that, you know, like if you're in LA and you walk into a yoga studio off the street, and there's just this slightly different quality, and you feel more at ease and more peaceful. It's the same concept, but in Bali you have a population of over 3 or 4 million people, you know, engaged in these practices. So Nyepi is the Balinese Silent New Year, and it falls on the new moon in late March, early April each year. It's the new moon closest to the spring equinox, I believe. So it's also the turning of the zodiac with Aries, right?
Yeah, it's my birthday.
Yeah.
March 20th, right there. Yeah, the cusp.
Okay, so Nyepi always falls around this.
Around my birthday,
it's the new moon around there. And customarily, Nyepi is a day of total silence on the island. The airport shuts down. It's the only international airport on the planet that closes for a day. The only one.
Wow.
Right? So the airport shuts down. There's no traffic on the streets. People stay in their homes, and traditionally you would fast and you would just spend the day in silent meditation and prayer. And everyone has their varying degrees of interpretation of that, but certainly, like, even as a Westerner, if you walk out on the street, there'll be a patrol of men in the village who are kind of going shh, 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 and they shoo you back inside, you know. There might be the odd rice farmer out in his fields, or you see kids playing down in a river or something like this, but in general, everybody is inside and quiet, and so now we're on the day after Nippy, and my experience is today feels profoundly peaceful and easeful, right? And so some people have looked at Nippy and gone, oh my God, if the entire planet did this for a day, just take one day, no business is being done, nobody's fighting, wars are put on hold, all of it, commerce, everything, just all the busyness of humanity is just allowed to, like, rest for a day. What would be the result? And what I feel here is so peaceful. I mean, what's your experience of it?
Yeah, it's funny because I had that conversation this morning. I ran into a friend of mine and she said, I wish the whole, everybody could do this. And we're like, yeah, let's start a campaign. Let's go back to our countries and, like, start a campaign for our country to join. And maybe we can get the United Nations, to move to do that. Just like we just got your World Yoga Day through. Maybe we can get, International Nyepi through. My experience was profound because the Bali Spirit Festival was so busy and was so much doing, and for me personally, not enough being, because I'm also working, so I didn't really get to fully drop in as much as I'd like to for some breath work and meditation kind of classes. So I really appreciated the timing of the festival just before this holiday, because I spent some beautiful time yesterday doing my personal practice, sitting with my body on the earth and meditating and really integrating the whole experience that I just had at Bali Spirit. So it's very well timed. And I was really grateful for the day of silence and quiet, and where I'm staying, they even came and I had an outside light on and they had me turn it off. I didn't realize it was also dark. Right. All the lights are off, there's no sound, and just, I mean, what a gift to have, the entire island completely shut down, and the ask is for everyone to just stay inside and be quiet and be introspective, and wow, what a gift. I had a great experience. I'm super grateful that I was here for it, and so fun the night before with all the statues and
the Ogo.
The Ogo. I mean, wow, I felt like I was at Burning Man for a minute, but like on a so much better, deeper level, right? Because of the art, these massive statues in the street, and it was so fun, like almost getting run over by the huge statues, and it's just like it's a real big event. I mean,
it's a huge event.
It's a huge event. Yeah. I'm really, really grateful I got to be here to experience that. And I encourage everyone listening to come. Come to Bali Spirit Festival, stay for Nyepi, plan it, be here for the equinox, have your rebirth new year here in Bali, right?
Totally. Yeah. And I feel like there's something so profoundly healing about simply not doing. Both for ourselves, for our minds, for our bodies, for the planet, the ecosystems, just to rest and to not, just to simply not do anything.
I agree. We need more of this in the world.
We need more of this. There was at a certain moment, let's say 20, 30 years ago, Boston Harbor was like one of the most toxic bodies of water in the States, and they built a treatment facility. And at the same time, they enacted some regulations to stem the flow of pollutants into the bay. And based on the volume of water in the bay and the capacity of the treatment facility, they were like, well, we're hoping that in 20 years, this body of water is again, fit for human use, can be swum in, isn't a danger, isn't, toxic. That was the estimate, was 20 years. It was like 2 years. It happened so much faster than they estimated, and so much of that was simply because everything that was damaging that had been flowing in was just stopped. And what they found was nature has a way of regenerating itself if you just give it the opportunity. It's the same with fasting and the body. And all these stories of people who travel through conventional medicine as far as they can, and they can't heal whatever their sickness might be it cancer or something else. And then they discover fasting and maybe do a wheatgrass type program or something like this, and oh my God, it's a miracle. Yeah. But it's like the body's capacity, the mind's capacity to heal, if it's just like left to its own devices, right, is profound. So Nippy, in a sense, is just going like, okay, Mother Nature, okay, natural state of being, okay, God. you know, and what comes out of it feels so good.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, the body is totally designed to heal itself, and when we just give it the right conditions, allow it, it certainly can and does. And yeah, Nyipi is such a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Anything else that people need to know about what's going on here in Bali or what you're offering?
About what I'm offering?
You have a retreat coming
Was
up or
that
an
30
event?
minutes? I'll be holding it down here in Bali. You can find me for Ecstatic Dance at the Yoga Barn on any given weekend, and I'm also frequently doing kirtans and other forms of sound healing, conscious music on the island. I'll be touring in Europe this summer, starting in Amsterdam 17th of June, and then on to bean gathering in Portugal and a bit throughout Europe all the way through September. There's a beautiful festival called Sound and Silence that happens in Greece in September that's just remarkable. And then another new festival called Reso in Ibiza. Online, my SoundCloud is soundcloud.com/Pachamantra.
Pachamantra.
Pachamantra, Pachamantra.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, my DJ name is DJ Raio. And yeah, if you know, I think Ubud in particular, Bali in general, Ubud in particular, is a place to do some profound and rapid transformation. You know, and Bali metaphysically by many is considered kind of the center of purification on the planet because of a male ley line and a female ley line that run right through the island, and the volcano here, and there's sort of a mystical property to it that has to do with purification. And I think a lot of people experience kind of a speeding up of karma, a speeding up of healing. Certainly we've had lots of people come to Bali Spirit Festival and quit their jobs or begin the project that they've always wanted to begin but haven't had the courage to, or get into a new love relationship or get out of an old love relationship. But anyway, the energy here is it's in motion, it's transformation, it's evolution. And you know, anybody who wants to experience some of that and isn't afraid to shake up, you know, the status quo of their life, certainly should come and see what might be here for them.
Bring it to Bali. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the ley lines. I had mentioned a few days ago, I wonder what the ley line situation is here. It's really interesting to know. So it's the intersection of male and female.
Yeah, like
the major
right
ones?
Here, major ones.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that explains a lot.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just for people to know, we'll put links in the show notes of everything that Rob's mentioning here so that you guys can find him and find his music, his sacred music offering. Thank you so much for your time.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
For everything that you're doing, creating Bali Spirit Festival and bringing all your sacred sound healing to the people. I appreciate you.
All right.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thanks so much for answering the call to be here today. I'm so glad you're part of our tribe of activated rainbow warriors. If you found the show in any way empowering or inspiring, I would be so grateful if you would share the show on social media or with friends and family that you think would benefit from these conversations. And also, rate and review the show in iTunes. This is really the very best way to help support the show and help us get noticed by others who are looking for the sort of content that we're sharing. Now notice there are no outside ads playing here. That's because the show is supported by you, the listener. You can become a patron of the show with a small monthly donation by checking out the perks on our Patreon page at patreon.com/visionary lifestyle and signing up there. There's also a one-time donation button on the podcast page of the website if that suits you better. And just so you know, your donations help to cover the necessary out-of-pocket monthly expenses to produce the show and will also help us grow so we can inspire and educate even more people. And hey tribe, I'd love to hear from you. Visit me at visionary-lifestyle.com and please tell me your comments and questions. I really look forward to connecting with you. I love you. Namaste.